Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages,
Well, good evening. It's Sunday, the 9th of August. I'm Dave McClelland. Welcome to MOCKDOWN for this Sunday, Sunday the 9th, as I already mentioned. Been quite a week for me personally. I had a helicopter flight yesterday, the first helicopter flight I've ever been on. I got it for my birthday present 18 months ago. It was postponed 4 times, 3 for weather, 1 for COVID. Finally had a flight yesterday. It was excellent. In other Dave news, a mustache trimming accident removed this side of my twirly bits, and so I had to remove the other side of my twirly bits, so I don't have twirly bits anymore. And in other news this week, the government spaffed a couple of $100 million up the wall on useless PPE. But hey, look, migrants in rubber boats. But let's get back to the show. I've got 3 fantastic guests tonight, all on a movie theme. So let's make no further waffle from me. Let me find a banner to bring on my first guest, and we'll find... Oh, yes, we'll go to the first guest first. No, we won't. I meant to mention... sorry, they're smiling at me now. I meant to mention that if you enjoy this show and you'd like to give something to help artists... we do support the Equity Benevolent Fund, and the Equity Benevolent Fund is helping anybody that works in the entertainment industry through this time of lockdown and mockdown crisis. They have a YouTube page, which is very good. The link is down below, and there's tons of famous people doing monologues for you, and so you can take a look at those and you can donate via a link on the site. So I just wanted to mention that. But let's get back to my first guest. I taunted you with it. Lindsay Bennett-Thompson. Let me tell you about Lindsay. I ask all my guests to send in a bio. Some send a short one, some send a longer one, but this one's all right lengthwise. Lindsay is an actress, writer, and artist based in the Northwest. Her expressive, idiosyncratic look and fearless approach has gained her recognition as a contemporary and bold actress. I agree with that. Began her career early, toured with a rock band for a number of years, then explored her interest in puppetry before returning to study, graduated with the first class honours in contemporary theatre and performance. 2019, a big year for Lindsay, a near-death experience and life-saving surgery. And that propelled her to continue to push to make her own work and develop her career as a filmmaker. And she currently has 2 films, Puppy and Enter Nirvana, in the festival circuit, with ambition to release them online next year. And having gained positive reviews from Puppy, Lindsay is currently developing a feature-length screenplay. Let's bring her in. Lindsay, hello, how are you?
Wow, yeah, what an introduction. Thank you very much, David.
You wrote it, you wrote it, so there we go.
I know, yeah, you've just made it sound good.
Well, it was your press and PR department prepared all of that and sent it to my producer, and there we go. Nice setup you've got there. You've got a nice mic and everything in it. Is the dog still around?
She is. She's right behind me.
Oh, excellent. We may have a dog interruption tonight. That's super.
More than likely.
Yeah, let's bring in my next guest, Jon Campling. Let's have a look at Jon. Where is he? Let's bring his photo up here. There he is. Jon Campling was born in Hull, gave up a job for life with British Aerospace to go to drama school. What a foolish boy. In Brum for 3 years in 1989. He now has 97, count them, 97 IMDb acting credits. He stopped the Hogwarts Express in Harry Potter and created the character King Regis in the global smash game Final Fantasy XV, which I think is 15 in new money. As well as acting, Jon is also a model, photographer, wand maker, a runner and fitness freak, and is currently training to be a singer. His latest film, Adventure Boys, is currently available on all the usual platforms. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Jon Campling. There he is.
Please, someone remind me next time I write a bio to always inquire whether it's going to be read out.
I felt exactly the same as well.
Because that was an interesting take. Yeah, I learned a lot hearing that read back. Thank you.
Exactly. But you know, for anybody who's unfamiliar, John, lovely setup you've got there. You have your doppelganger standing behind you just in case you're called away at any moment.
That's a movie prop, classic movie prop. You know, I literally only did the movie because I knew I would get one of those if I did the movie. So
excellent.
So yeah, we call it Door John, obviously.
Yeah. If it moves, then we're all going to be freaked out. So that's quite interesting. Yeah. One more guest to bring in. So let's bring him in. Matt Routledge. Matt, when I can bring up his photograph here, there he is. Matt has the longest bio. I'm going to try and cut it as I go along here. He's been actively acting, directing, and producing martial arts media since his first nunchaku, I haven't said that right, instructional video back in '92. He's done a 3-year degree course, made 2 half-hour martial arts films, Neck Chaser and Rush Hour. Worked in the industry for Mersey Television, Grounded Television, and Sony Entertainment, and then went back to making martial arts films. These include 2 internationally acclaimed short films, The Car Wash, and 2 movies, Fist of Justice and Crazy in Love. He's a stuntman, a choreographer, an action director, relocated to Thailand, where he worked with Jackie Chan on The Medallion, an action director on Manahem Golan's last ever martial arts film, Final Combat, and he moved back into the director's chair for the award-winning martial arts short film Fixer, and most recently the multi-award-winning crime caper drama Manipulation, a short film that has bagged over 17 awards globally so far in film festivals from Melbourne to Los Angeles. He's now releasing the action horror feature film Tribal, starring Zara Pathayan, I haven't said that right, of Doctor Strange fame, and Ross O'Hennessy of Game of Thrones. And Matt is smiling at me. Hello, Matt. How are you?
I'm good, David. How are you? You okay?
I am very, very well. Lovely to see the 4 of you. I've worked with all of you at some time, so it's been quite delicious actually to be able to get you all on at one time and to see everybody doing right good, you know. So
Yeah.
you're all doing all right, aren't you?
Can't complain.
So there we go. Meet each other. So what I do next, we have a little in-depth chat with each of you and just go through a little bit of stuff. I've been digging around in your social media accounts, having a little peek what might be in there. So let's have a look. What's in there first of all? Here we go. What about this? Will it come up? No, wait, I need to go to this one. Bring this in. There we go. Lindsay, what's that?
Oh God. So that was actually the first ever one-woman show that I wrote called The Mercury Complex, and I wanted to develop a one-woman show, and this was about it came about. My mum told me that during Live Aid I turned to her and said that when I grow up I want to be Freddie Mercury.
Yeah.
And it explained so much about my life that I was like, oh my God, like I'm now, well, at the time I was nearly 40 years old. And I'm like, oh my God, all my life I've wanted to be Freddie Mercury. And this makes so much sense now. So I wrote a play about it and performed it. And so that is a shot of my one-woman show in a nutshell.
Excellent. I love it. It's a great
fantastic story.
Yes.
Thank you.
What about this one?
Okay, that one's called Exit Smiling. That was my second one-woman show. And this was a lot more arty. But I got quite some really good recognition from my first show, which was a really almost interactive theatre. The Mercury Complex. I got the entire audience drunk with me, which is what we used to do when I was in the rock band. We used to get the audience drunk. So like half of us thought, well, if we're not that good, then the audience are drunk anyway, so they won't know. So I thought, well, if the show's no good, I'm just going to get the audience drunk anyway. So I digress. That show did quite well. And then from the back of that, I ended up getting a commission in Manchester at the Contact Theatre, and they developed another one-woman show with all these incredible lights and sound and all the really arty sort of cinema. I wanted to introduce cinematic theatre, cinematic language into theatre. I wanted to really do this hybrid of film and theatre work, and I was just given the most incredible opportunity to work with great people, and they brought that to life, and that was Exit Smiling. So that was my second one.
Wow.
Lovely.
Great.
But then we did mention it in your excessive bio, the near-death experience. And it is an anniversary of that, isn't it? Because I've seen you
literally
some
last
photos of that.
or a couple of days ago. It's so weird because it doesn't see it feels like such a world away now. But it was my husband that reminded me. He said, "Do you remember like last year when you died on the hall?" And I went, "Oh my god, yeah." Crazy times. Crazy time.
But you moved along and went into film. So let's just have a look at this one. This is you with the clapper for Puppy.
Yeah, this is literally about 2 months after leaving hospital. So I'm not looking my wellest, but
No.
I'd already started filming parts of Puppy. Then obviously had to have this this big operation, and then went straight back to filming. So this was me in recovery. So I was still all patched up and everything. And it was, but I'd invested a lot into doing the film. So I was like, I'm going to definitely finish it. So
I have a bit of the Puppy trailer. So let's take a look at that just to get a sense of it. And I mentioned to the guests earlier that when I was working through these clips, they all have this same pounding beat to them, and so you'll have that throughout tonight's show. But anyway, I love this clip. It's marvelous.
Now I have a guest here who I am so excited about, Laura Dickinson. For those of you who don't know, Laura has a new book out now called Number 7. Now Laura, before we launch ourselves into the book, it's important to let everyone know Number 7 doesn't cater towards your typical fan base.
I felt it was the right time.
And without giving too much away, the book talks a lot about your time with the Disciples of Eden. And within the group, you were known as Number 7?
Yes.
Now, like I said, I am trying to be so careful not to give anything away. But there was one bit I did want to ask about. You mentioned your son, Reuben. Now, you talk about his birth, but then we never hear anything more about him in the book.
Oh, well, there's plenty of things that I left out of the book. I felt that my son's anonymity should be one of them.
Of course. Could you at least let our listeners know if he's doing all right? I'm sure they're desperate to hear what happened to him.
I read something beautiful the other day. Powerful quote. Not in the scripture. It read, demons are like obedient dogs. They come when they're called.
He's safe.
Super creepy.
It's really good.
Super
Really
creepy.
well made, very polished, and
looks pucker. Pucker.
Yeah, that was boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
stunning.
Nice bit of storytelling.
Yeah, lovely.
I can't take all the credit. I wrote it, and but yeah, I had a really great team as well.
Yeah, there's a poster for it. And things may happen with this. It may extend into a feature, do you think, or something? Do you think?
Yes, yeah, we've had some. I'm one of these kind of people that I don't want to sort of tempt fate, and I don't want to. I've just had some really great, interesting chats with an amazing creative of mine, a friend of mine who is really keen on seeing how this can develop, and so we're sort of at the early stages of that, and the new treatment's been written for the feature film, and that's gained some really good positive reviews. So I've never written a feature film before, so this is a learning curve for me. So I'm still on Act 1. So yeah, we'll see how it goes. Yeah.
great.
As long as you've got that boom, 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 boom throughout it, it's fine as far as I'm concerned. But you've moved on, and there is another one, and this is another trailer that just like, oh my God, here we go. This is Enter Nirvana. Get ready for this one.
I am powerful.
Short but sweet.
Very good.
Yeah,
Does the job.
Short,
Boom.
short but sweet. That's all it needs to do. Yeah.
exactly. Well, it makes me want to see it. Good
Oh,
God.
that's it. It's the I need to know more factor, isn't it? Oh,
Yeah,
I need to know more.
I love that change. You know, the effect. Oh, stunning. And
Really hard to do.
The poster
Really hard to do.
Was it? I wouldn't advise it.
Yeah, definitely would not.
Very effective.
Have I got the poster for that? Here we go.
Oh,
Love
yeah,
that.
beautiful poster. Yeah.
Yeah.
My that was actually a bit of backstage info that was taken in my bedroom, and my husband took the photograph and we edited it together. And a friend of mine like put all the artwork together. So that was literally just a combination of people who really don't know what they're doing and hopefully trying to create something beautiful.
Well, it does look beautiful. I mean, that is stunning.
Exactly.
Those eyes freak me out, but there we go.
Yeah. Great.
Oh, yeah, and more great music. We're just going to move away to something that you've done more recently, though, because post-lockdown, you were one of the first people who went back to Coronation Street, weren't you?
Yeah. Oh God, I was so nervous because I got the role before lockdown, and then obviously lockdown came in, and the amount of conversations that I had with my agent going, oh my God, are they going to write me out? And da 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 da. I was so keen to be able to do this role because I really liked her. And thankfully, they didn't write me out.
Yeah.
And I got to do it. Yeah. So
Let's
it
have a
was
little
really,
peek.
really.
Let's have a little peek. We've just got a clip.
That is when we went camping with Jamie and his son. Snows like an absolute pig, but they're a lovely family.
So what was Matthew suffering from?
Baton disease. He put up a very brave fight, but however long we had, we always knew the end would come.
Our son Oliver's just been diagnosed with mitochondrial disease.
Look, I'm sorry. This just feels like I'm looking at my future. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I just want to change it.
Oh, we're the same.
Well, it sounds to me like you were counting down the days.
No, not exactly. See, the thing is, I saw that boy do so much more than I thought he ever would. When he was first diagnosed, they gave him 4 years to live. And in the end, he had nearly 6. And I made the most of him. I squeezed every last drop out of my time with him.
Oh,
Great. Yeah.
lovely.
Taste the
So
piece.
it's all cheery then. It's all cheery stuff.
Oh yeah, exactly. But that was great because I mean, you wouldn't think looking at that scene, oh, they're all socially distanced. It was just nicely placed out, and everything was.
It was so clever the way that they did it. Everything was everything is really strict, and even things down to there were things like if I had a coffee cup, for instance, and I handed it over, there were obviously 2 completely separate coffee cups, and in the next scene it looks as though I've given the same thing over, but everything was duplicated. So yeah, very well done.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Love it. Let's move on to John. John, let me bring up a photograph of you. What do I have here? This looks
your worst.
Yeah, here we go. This one looks like
Oh my word,
the Laughing Cavalier or something.
Close.
What's going on there?
I'm royalty. What royalty do I look like?
Oh, French.
Actual historical royalty.
Oh, go on, tell us.
I think I was a Louis. Is it a Louis?
Yes.
Louis, yes. It was a role. I'm trying to remember it. It was a really odd job. I was booked by the royal palaces. So it's one of those weird things that comes up, in between your typical acting work, your theatre or your film. I was booked by the royal palaces to appear at one of the royal palaces and pretend to be Louis the First or Louis the Second, whichever one it was. While actual punters were just wandering around and just there was a kind of vague script, so I had to study a lot of historical facts. They weren't paying that much, It's an interesting dilemma of an actor when you want to do the best you can, but you've got to marry that with financial sanity. So it wasn't a good paying job, but I was intrigued by it. So I kind of wanted to do it because I wanted to play a historical character in the actual setting where they lived.
You like dressing up.
Yeah, I know, you know, so it was one of those thinking, I kind of want to do it for the experience. I'll probably get some good photos out of it, which I did, but it was because it was, you know, a kind of not very well funded museum thing. It was like £75 a day.
Yeah.
But then the kick and the kind of kick of it was, oh, there's all this, you know, historical stuff. And I had to be like, well, you know, you're paying me to turn up and do that. I can't put a week of my life aside to learn an entire. So I had to kind of find a way of improvising around what I could learn in an amount of time that I was willing to give to it. It was a really fascinating challenge. There was another, the executioner was there. I had an actor playing the executioner as well. So as it was taken to be hung, it was something I wish it was a one-off. That was the problem as well. It was something I would have liked to have been booked for a week or a month, because it was something you could have really done your research and really done some almost to bring a historical character to life, but with improvisation with a modern audience is quite an interesting challenge. But it was a one-off gig, so I never really got to fully exploit it. But good photo.
Yeah, exactly.
Only taken from that angle to get the fresco in. If you saw the picture, the ceiling fresco, it was really hard to get a non-chinny photo of myself, and get the fresco.
Oh, the beard hides it all. We've got another one here. Look at that one.
Interesting that you've chosen this, because I think, well, I'll come to it. You see the Mike Holsworth photography.
Yes.
And I think, Matt, do you know Mike Holsworth?
I do. I know him well.
There you go. Well,
I'm going to see him this week. So
give him my love. Mwah.
Well,
and to his lovely kids.
Phenomenal photographer. So
so that was taken by I've been lucky enough as an actor to pretty much mainly be an actor, and my other jobs, you know, we all know most people in the arts, they have more so now than ever. I think they have to have the other job. I was always lucky. My first other job was being a DJ, which fitted around being an actor perfectly, and was quite a high earner for a short amount of time. But there was a short period where I couldn't manage to earn enough from a decent other job, and I had to slip into the real world and get an actual proper office job. And I worked with Mike for about a year at Global Internet, an old internet back in the days of dial-up, when you used to buy dial-up. Partly because I wanted an internet connection. I couldn't afford one because I was a poor actor. I saw the future of the internet. I knew it was going to be big. And I couldn't afford an internet connection, so I got a job with an internet company. So they give me one free as part of the job, and I managed to only work about 2 days a week most weeks. And I met Mike, and he's been a friend ever since. And that was a photo shoot with Mike, and I use that photo a lot. I think I did it as a joke. I can be quite tacky. I'm happy to admit that, but I'm not tacky enough to really genuinely do that to the camera. So I did it as an ironic joke, but it turned out to be a really popular photo. I think I give it to people as I think I have a thing that says, "You're amazing." Listen to the hair. For a while I was going by the name The Hair. So it's my positive affirmation photo.
Yeah,
so people sometimes buy it as a signed photo to give to their friends, because it just says "You're amazing" when you look at it. You're amazing. Some of my favorite photos were taken by Mike in that shoot.
We all have one. I want one. I want one now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. No, I can supply everyone with a positive affirmation John photo.
Yeah.
You are amazing. Yes, they are. They are. It's kept me going every day when I get up and I can't face being Jon Campling, and I look at that photo.
You are amazing.
You are amazing.
Now, you were amazing the first time I worked with you, Mr. Campling. We're going to talk about Harry Potter, because everybody talks about Harry Potter with you. But we met on another film, The Zombie King. And this is a connection. We'll talk about another connection here. It's
I love connections, are fantastic.
Yeah. But you and I found ourselves in a zombie film, and let's go straight to this little clip. We're in a church, and we discover that
excellent
to kill zombies, you have to get salt into their bloodstream.
Obviously, everyone knows this.
Yes, exactly. If only we'd known that I have a supply of salt ready to go at a moment's notice.
This is origin story basics. Come on.
Yeah, exactly. So let's take a look at this. It's just a short clip, but here we go.
When I said feeding, I meant getting it into their bloodstream. And if you want me to prove it, bring me a fucking zombie.
Timing.
God guide my hand! Good. Bro. NFL. Every Sunday.
You watch American football? Me too. Go Eagles!
Bring me a fucking zombie.
Yes, exactly. As you do. And of course,
I'd forgotten about that line.
The salt on a crucifix took him out immediately. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think they got the shot. They wanted the shot of it, you know, camera whips round and bang, the cross in the head. But they never managed to get that payoff shot.
Yeah.
I think my setup was pretty good.
Oh, yeah. Well, in that film, I'm a zombie killing milkman, and I kill the zombies with empty milk bottles.
With milk.
Full of salt. We put salt into milk bottles, and so I have this limited quantity.
Salt grenades.
Yes, sugar bottles. Oh, careful! Don't use them all, Dave.
Sugar bottle, sugar glass on a low budget movie. It's just the worst.
Careful,
isn't it?
Dave. Careful, Dave.
We've only got 2.
Yeah, Dave. But I don't know what it throws like. It's got a real bottle. Anyway, there we go. So lots of fun doing that.
I should also point out, because it may not be obvious, and it may clarify things. I'm drunk in that scene.
Oh, it was obvious. You went for the bottom instead of giving.
We're all drunk in every scene.
Yeah. But let's move on to Harry Potter, because here we are. I think the film had come out shortly before we did the Zombie King.
Yeah, I'm not really good at remembering dates. And interestingly, the still you've used there is from Deathly Hallows 2, which interestingly, my scene never made the final cut due to time limitations. You know, you can imagine with Harry Potter, there were hundreds of like 30, 40-second scenes they would have liked to put in, but that adds up to an hour. So loads were skipped. So, but they put it in the trailer. And that's so the reason, because some people said to me, well, hang on, you're showing me a photo of something you said wasn't in the film. But it was in the trailer. Got their money's worth. They paid for that scene, so they put it in the trailer. So I got that photo, and that's my deleted scene. And the fact that it's not in the film, it was put in the film to fix a plot error. So the plot error is still there because they favored not putting the clip in and keeping the time down than fixing the plot error. Interesting insight into the workings of a Harry Potter movie.
Yeah, exactly. Well, let's have a look at the scene that everybody must be familiar with.
Deathly Hallows 1.
Here.
My father will hear about this. Hey, losers. He isn't here.
Well, what is there left to say?
Yeah,
It's so. I mean, it must be what? It's probably 9 or 10 years, I think, since that was shot. I did find it. It always surprises me. I don't watch that clip very often now, obviously, because I've seen it a lot. And when I do watch it, I am always reminded of how little I do and how short it is. not in any kind of negative way, just as a matter of fact. But now that kind of sense of scale of the clip is now slightly at odds with the way my life has been since that came out. It's an odd reminder to me that it doesn't take much. It doesn't take much in the right movie, and people's vision of you is skewed into a slightly different perspective that you as the person can't quite understand but have to go with. So I'm getting all existential. So.
But I mean, you've done the convention circuit and whatnot.
I did 5 years. Obviously COVID has stopped it now, but it's 5 years. And I remember was talking to my mum the other day up in Hull. I give her a ring every day. I haven't seen her since the lockdown. And we were just talking about tax returns. And I just happened to mention kind of what I'd earned doing conventions last year. And it was a nice substantial amount. And then I said to her, do you remember coming with me? Because I took my mum with me to my first convention because I've got a lovely mum. And if I asked her to come with me, she would. So it was up in Scarborough. So it was in Scarborough, and we decided, me and my wife went for a weekend and took my mum, and I made £80 on my very first Scarborough Sci-Fi Comic Con. I think I sold 8 signed photos, and I was terrified. I just thought I was gonna. It's the ultimate nightmare of being Billy No Mates, it's bad enough going into a room and people not talking to you, but setting up a table with the expectation that people are going to come and give you money. It's just asking for no one to come anywhere near you and have that. But I sold 8. I remember texting my mum saying I've made 80 quid. But then 5 years later, that was I was doing, I was traveling around the world doing it, from Scarborough to, I think the last one I did was in Florida.
Wow.
And absolutely so grateful to the universe and the industry for that being there. And and all from that clip or that connection. I mean, what you do is you give the fans a connection to the thing that they love. So you are but a conduit, really.
And as a result of that, you're now making your own wands, and you must get a bit of stick for that.
Well, hey. There we go.
I hope you saw what I did there.
Well, hang on. Has this entire event been contrived for that joke, Dave?
Exactly. That's it. We can finish now. I'll go home. It's been a lovely.
Yeah. Well, I like to think I've always been a bit of a resourceful jack of all trades, master of a couple. But I like to. I realized a long time ago I've got one really good skill, and that's the ability to learn skills. So as long as I'm motivated through genuine interest and passion, I'm pretty good at learning anything that I want to do. So I love that the whole Comic-Con circuit absolutely mesmerized me, really. And the first couple I did, I looked at the other signers to see how they were doing it, and then I looked at the people who sell the merchandise, the traders, and I thought actually the traders kind of do it better. So I started modeling the way I set my table up and worked more like the traders than the actors. And it was actually Virginia Hay. I don't know if you know Virginia Hay. She was in a Bond, I believe, but she was mainly known, or she's hugely known all around the world for Farscape. She was the blue alien in Farscape.
Right.
And I noticed she was making soap. So she had all her signing photos, and then she had all these lovely bars of soap, all delicately packaged, and she makes them herself. And so some fan would turn up to buy an autograph and then go, "Oh, you make soap, Virginia? Well, I can't not buy some soap made by Virginia Hay. Well, that's another £15, please." And I was thinking, I could make something. What could I make? I could make soap. No, Virginia's doing that. What could I make? And of course, it's good to make it relevant. And then I suddenly realized one day that the J.K. Rowling and Warner Brothers did not invent the wand. The only ones that they have copyright to are the ones that they designed. The wand is a generic thing that's owned by everyone. So, so I started making my own wands, and I use that, the fact that I can't copy the official ones, I use that as a kind of strength by saying all of my ones are different. So every single one I make is different. So, so if I make one for you, David, no one else would have one the same.
The wand finds a person, doesn't it? I think?
Apparently.
Yeah, there we go.
That brings us to, on the clip you just showed. That was my very first day on Harry Potter. So that was a pretty mind-blowing day. So the day before that, and it was only my second movie, really. I just worked on an indie film called Dead End. 3 Mill Studio the week before, and I literally wrapped on the Friday at 5 o'clock on Dead End at 3 Mills, and the Harry Potter production car was waiting at 3 Mills already, and they had to get me out of costume. A deal had been done. They had to get me out of costume, get me in this car, drive me to City Airport to fly me to Scotland that evening, because that was the Friday evening, to get me to the very north Scotland into a hotel by 1 a.m. And then I filmed that next morning. I was a Death Eater. It was it was mind blowing, really. So one of the things I quite like saying to people when I'm meeting Harry Potter fans and stuff, I've improvised many funny stories about my time on Harry Potter, but like a stand-up comic, or if you're doing a one-person show, you start to hone your best improvised lines into your script. So I've got so I've done that. So I have I've got some good tell. So I always say to people, look, if you're ever having a bad day, if you're starting a new job and you're having a bad day on a new job, ask yourself, I think I always ask you 3 questions. 1, is everything you're doing being filmed and going to be put on a massive screen all around the world? No. So it's not as bad as John then, is it? Are they deliberately driving a 40-ton steam train at you? No. So it's not that bad, is it? I've also the third one I say, are you and this is your first day? I say, most people's first day at work, it's get the coffee, shadow Mike around for a bit. My first day, go stand on that train track while we drive a train at you in the rain. I did most of my acting between cut and action, not between action and cut. Because between cut and action, I had to pretend to be an actor who was completely comfortable being on the set of Harry Potter when I absolutely wasn't an actor comfortable being on the set of Harry Potter. So they'd say cut, and then I'd start acting.
Yes,
it was really weird. I mean,
was that all right, darling? Was that all right?
Because all the time, every time I was talking to anybody, like David Yates, and I'd be thinking, wow, you're doing really well, John. No one knows that you're inside your head. You're just exploding, and you can't quite deal with it. David,
that's such an interesting thing to still say, and I think that so many actors have that kind of imposter syndrome
to an infinite level.
You know what I mean?
An infinite level.
And it's so refreshing to hear somebody else say it in totally different ways. Because everybody has it of going, oh my God, they're going to know. They're definitely going to figure me out any minute now. They're going to figure me out. But
it caught me by surprise, because I really have quite a strong memory of me at the time, suddenly realizing that, I've got to act all the time I'm awake and speaking to anybody that's anything to do with them, because it's my first day and I'm not prepared at all. And also it was there was an added twist to it. It was a second unit shoot for the train, headed up by Stephen Wolfenden, actually, and fantastic first AD and director in his own right. And they'd been shooting second unit stuff for 2 weeks with no actors. They'd been shooting alleyways and architecture and stuff. And then they had these last 2 days, this Saturday and Sunday, and they had an actor. So they were super excited to have an actor, which freaked me out because they weren't shy about that. They were all over me a little bit. And I didn't know why until someone told me. They was like, we haven't had an actor for 2 weeks. So I was like, back off, guys. Okay. It was weird. But also, after they'd shot these 2 days, they were all going on holiday for 2 weeks. They all were wrapped for 2 weeks. So the 2 days I filmed, although it was outdoors in a rainy November in Scotland, had this weird spark behind it because they were so chuffed to have an actor. And after this, it was hot winter holidays for them all. And in fact, when we wrapped on the plane home, it was chartered, and it was just us, just the crew on a chartered flight, and they all got were partying and celebrating their beginning of their holiday. So I filmed at an odd moment in their life, which kind of affected me. Well, I was just gonna. Am I talking too much?
No, it's all right.
So you just mentioned about the one to the one finding the really weird detail they did on that first morning. So I've flown the night before. I've got up in the morning. They got me for 6 o'clock. I've put me in my costume. I've gone down for breakfast in my costume as a Death Eater. We've then travelled on the Hogwarts Express to get to the bit of the train track that we're going to film, because the only way to get to a location that's on a train track is on a train. We have one, luckily, the Hogwarts Express. So I travel on the Hogwarts Express dressed as a Death Eater for 2 hours. During those 2 hours, I got a little bit confused about what was real, because I was still John the actor on my way to set, but I was dressed as the Death Eater, and my vehicle was the train, not a taxi. So that was 2 hours on my own. To give me my wand, a very creepy looking tall gentleman walked from the mist of the train about 200 yards up the hill in Scotland to where the camp was. And I saw them coming. I'm the only person in the camp, because it's for me, it's for the actors, it's for the talent, and I'm the only one. So I'm the only one there. the 100 crew are all building the set down there. So I see this man coming out of the mist, and he's got another man walking behind him. So it's very odd. It looks very Victorian. And I think they must be coming to me because I'm the only one here. And when they reached me, the younger, shorter guy from behind handed the taller, I swear he had a tailcoat on. That could just be my memory adding to it, but it felt like he had a tailcoat on. Handed him a wooden box. They didn't speak to me. And then I'm just staring at them, looking slightly nervous. And then he just opened the box and said, "Would you care to choose your wand, Mr. Campling?" And they had 5 prop wands in a box. And it took all the strength I had to bite my lip and not say to him, "But doesn't the wand choose the wizard?" Those words, they got to my lips. They were behind my teeth trying to get out. And my better part of me was,
they've never heard it before.
Yeah, you're not being original if you say that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I thought I had, and I don't have it, but you were King Regis you did all the motion capture for Final Fantasy, and I thought I had the photo of it, but I don't have it. You have it. There we go. Lovely. And they're going to possibly make a feature of that, are they?
Well, they're kind of it's a weird package. So they I don't know if you do much video gaming, David? Are you a video gamer?
No, not enough.
Any video gamers on the stream? I'm a yeah.
Here we go.
So most people don't realize how big the video games industry is compared to the movie industry. So the movie industry is huge, obviously, but the video game industry pretty much dwarfs it. It just doesn't shout about it in the same way.
Yeah,
it's not Hollywood about it, whereas Hollywood is. So I was in the movie Kingsglaive, which was a full multi-million-pound action animated movie that was made really just to promote the video game. So, what we in the film world would consider a big budget movie was made by the game world just to promote their game. Crazy, scales to think that a big, expensive, state of the art, that is CGI, that is my motion capture, and then my scanned face. So an interesting thing on this was they did like a worldwide search for the actor to play King Regis because they had an artist's impression of how they wanted him to look. So now which is a weird way of doing it. So then they had to go and find an actor who looked like the artist's impression. And it turned out it was me, weirdly. It was this bloke from Hull. Hull,
there you go.
Things, the King of Lucis. And part of it was the beard. They liked my beard. And then once they cast me, the first thing they said was, "Now you have to shave your beard off, because we have to do motion." So then they had to digitally scan my beard. I did all the motion capture without the beard, and then they put the beard back on at the end.
Oh wow!
Crazy. Believe.
But that was made to promote the video game Final Fantasy 15.
We'll move on to your film that's currently out in a moment, but I want to move on to Matt and get some Matt stuff in here. Matt, how you doing, old chap?
I'm good, David. How are you?
I am very well. We met some years ago. We did a film together. You were acting.
Yes,
I was acting, and I'm going to show it because this then starts off a stream of stuff. But here we go.
I'm just going to go for.
All right, mate. You in the race?
Yeah.
I got your entrance fee.
Entrance fee?
Yeah, till we get the big sponsors. I'm paying for most of this, so £3.
£3? What's to pay for? There's not even any spectators.
Are you blind? Do you think this field were free? Plus there's all the unseen overheads, the website, the bandwidth, the live satellite uplink to all them spectators out there in cyberspace just waiting for this event to go live. So, if you want to be part of this .com phenomenon, it's only going to cost you £3. It's up to you, pal. No money, no entrance, no global recognition, and no significant cash prize.
£3.
Cheers, mate. See you at finish line. Ooh, and line up with other lads.
That was so League of Gentlemen. That was the vibe that I was, wasn't it? Like that was the vibe I was getting from it. It was cool.
Oh yeah. £3.
Dave. Seriously.
£3. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Martin
God.
Hollander, the director of that. But it was because of that I met you. And it was because of meeting you that I was then working for you on SIM Card. Tell us about SIM Card.
Okay,
briefly.
so SIM Card was a proposed feature film, I think back in 2009, to star Zara Pithian, who's a world kickboxing champion. And it was meant to be a vehicle for her, show her martial arts, break her into the action movie world. And I decided to shoot a promo, which was like 4 or 5 minutes, to take it to the Cannes Film Festival to try and pitch it, to try and get the investment in for the feature. So yeah, we did a 4 to 5 minute promo. I got some quality actors like David in the movie. And I guess the sad side of things is the ash cloud hit that year when we were taking it to Cannes, and I couldn't get a flight out there, and I had all the scripts, I had the posters, I had everything ready to pitch the project, and I just couldn't get a flight. So unfortunately, that particular film at that time didn't work out, but it's definitely led on to other projects. And, you know, great that, like, obviously, David, you got to work on Zombie King, didn't you? Because you met George.
Yeah. Well, I'll show you that. I've got a little clip of SIM Card, actually. Let me just show you this little bit because it's interesting. Just 1 second.
What we got?
Girl, late 20s, on the run.
You told me those computer chips were foolproof.
They were.
What she knows could destroy us.
Then we destroy her first.
Oh. That music again. Oh.
The music was done by Lorne Balfe, who is now just absolutely skyrocketed. He's just done Mission Impossible 6. He's signed up to do Mission Impossible 7 and 8. So, you know, he's absolutely flying, you know.
Yeah.
So pleased to get a chance to obviously work with him on SIM Card. And
yeah.
But
I mean, we'll talk about your current project in a moment, but you know, that dust cloud, the world conspires against you when you've got a project on the go, doesn't it, Matt?
It tends to, yeah. I was very unlucky. Gosh, about 20 years ago, I had a project called Mersey Cop, and that was kind of scuppered in a similar fashion. We basically were going to try and get a 10-part TV series made for the 4 later slot on Channel 4. Don't know if anyone remembers that. It was like a late night one between 11 and 12:30.
Yeah.
And I did a 45-minute TV pilot that I was trying to pitch to obviously get commissioned to do a TV series. I got lots of meetings with Channel 4. Basically, they had a changeover of staff, and the new person that came in didn't want to do the project. But before that, I was meeting there for up to 10 or 11 months. It was a regular thing, and it was just about to start. So, yeah, unfortunately, I've been through the mill career-wise, but I'm keeping my fingers crossed. The last year or two, things have really taken a bit more of an upward curve.
Well, that's really shocking. You hear about the idea of that happening, that one person change, and someone comes in and all projects are off. But you kind of hope it's not true. But wow,
yeah. But
yeah, still
just talking about things going well. Here, you're getting some awards.
Hey.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah, that was in the Urban Action Showcase, the HBO Run Awards ceremony in New York. So I was very pleased, obviously, to my first awards. We got Best Action Comedy Short Film, Best Martial Arts for that, and that's really the one that kind of I disappeared for a number of years because I was working more as a cameraman and a DOP. And just thought I've got to try and make a comeback to try and get back into the films that I love. I love martial arts films. I love action films. So I did a short film, sent it to just a few film festivals, and obviously fortunate enough to get recognized at that particular one. And that obviously led on to another short, Manipulation, which did really, really well at festivals. and was quite a launch for me. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think that's where you've got to start. You've always got to remember the seeds are usually short films where you can hopefully show your talent in a more short form factor, and hopefully that leads on to other projects, either more short films, working with other talent, and then also branching out and trying to break into the feature film market as well.
Yeah. That picture there, series, you still do the old martial arts, don't you?
I'm a bit lazy at the moment. I haven't done it in a couple of years. I still practice my nunchucks, which is the weapons, just to keep fit. But I do need to get back into it.
Yeah.
I think because obviously, stuntman turned director, you tended to focus more on the directing. So
here we go. That's manipulation that you mentioned. Won some awards there.
Yeah, manipulation was great because I worked with some fantastic actors. Obviously, Justin Tinto, who's won a couple of Best Actor awards for manipulation, and it's a very it's more of a drama, London gangster style. 3 guys in a room having a conversation, no martial arts, but we just got 3 quality actors in there to do it. And the great thing about this is the conversation they have lasts about 5 or 6 minutes, and they learnt the whole thing. They rehearsed it for weeks, so I could go straight in, 2 cameras on one actor, mid shot, close up.
Yeah,
did the whole thing in one take.
Wow.
One take, perfect. On to the next, and so on. And because they'd rehearsed it so much, you just got such a much better performance. And I'm not one of these people that likes to film until the actors are really warmed up, because you really, once they're all warmed up and they know the lines, you're getting a much better performance. You can't see that on the face trying to remember the lines.
It's so true. It's I've a number of films I've done. If I try and think of the times when I felt I was given enough rehearsal, and it's literally one hand. I think and I think what I think happens is as well, actors get really good at short-term memory and appearing to be able to learn lines quick, but I think it's a false economy. I think you don't really do your best work if you're doing it that way. I mean, I like you, I come from theatre as well, so I'm used to learning the whole thing, the whole hour, the whole 2 hours, all of it in my head all at once, and I could just go on. So the idea of not being able to learn lines, so fantastic setup in it.
It's time as well. Is that a lot of people, especially with film, is that just time is money, isn't it? And so
that's the pressure.
You don't give that time to the actors. So
Andrea says how much she's enjoying the range of discussion. She says no specific comment, but she comes in with a question now. How has pitching ideas changed because of COVID-19?
I can probably jump in
a
little bit here. Obviously from the development of Puppy is that I think it's about the long game. Is that I think especially with the development of Puppy now to be a feature-length film, is that the people I'm having discussions with is, well, it might not happen this year, but we're definitely going to look at it next year. So it's about playing the long game, that it's not going to happen next month, or it's not going to happen in the next couple of months because of insurance. And the people that I've been discussing, the people that I've been discussing things with, they've had other projects cancelled because they weren't able to get their insurance.
I've heard that is one of the things holding things back at the moment.
But it's still really important to have those conversations, especially just for creative people, to make sure that the wheel is still in motion.
To know that the need is still there, the want is still there, that the supply chain is still trying to move along.
We're still having those conversations. Like I say, it's just over perhaps a broader amount of time, rather than can we get this made in 6 months, if this is my idea, then it might be 12 months, it might be 18. So that's kind of how pitching has changed, I suppose. If that answers the question.
Yeah, I think it does. Matt, going on to your current project now, this one, Tribal, Get Out Alive. I mean, you worked on it for the majority of last year, and you're all set for a release, and then the world conspires against you again with a worldwide pandemic.
That's right. We were about a week away from the cast and crew screening at the cinema in March, and then COVID hit, kind of scuppered the cinema release, which is a shame. And we've had to go for a digital release in the UK. Obviously, that's been decided upon between the producers and Evolutionary Films, who are distributing the movie worldwide. We've obviously got hopes it will get a theatrical release in some other countries of the world. But yeah, it's actually, the premiere is tomorrow night at 7:30, and then the nationwide release on digital formats is the 17th of August. So we're only about a week away from that. And, you know, really excited that it's finally, you know, going to get out there. It's, you know, a lot of blood, sweat and tears, as it always is on the independent movies. Really hard work. Yeah,
I don't know, Matt, but I've seen Tribal. Like, obviously, your social media is working, because I've seen this come up quite a lot. So well done. It's popped up quite a lot on my feed. So it's
well, let's
out
have
there.
a look at the trailer, because get ready for that pounding music again. But here we go.
It's private property.
It's your eviction notice, lads.
Why don't you just turn around and pretend none of this ever happened?
Another job for you two. Local rat has inherited his father's farm.
What are we evicting?
Vagrants. So we're kicking out homeless people. Sounds simple.
Well, this looks straightforward enough.
There's a hidden doorway. Leading where? Darkness. Are these bones? Not just any bones. Human bone.
Something in the shadows!
Why do I have a bad feeling about this?
Some of our group being killed. What is going on down here?
Mr. Kenny needed test subjects. Test subjects.
They made all of these monsters out of the homeless people.
His experiments were successful in unforeseen ways, heightened reactions, heightened strength.
Soon, this will be a gift to mankind.
This place is going to be filled with creatures.
They just don't give up. Do they?
Nice.
Whoa.
Big knife.
British movie, hey? It's a bit different. So yeah,
she's good, isn't she?
Fantastic. I think this is going to be a great launch pad for her, not just as an artist, but as an actress as well. You know, I was saying female Bruce Lee. You know, when you see the film, hopefully, you know, you'll enjoy her performance and some of the other cast we've got in there. Ross O'Hennessy, who was also in Game of Thrones. So we've got some real talented, up and coming, you know, actors and actresses in the film. It's completely independent production obviously from England, and yeah, it seems to be doing good. It got released in the USA last month on Blu-ray and DVD, so they were the first to release it. So obviously they've been very keen to get it out there. But it's also a genre that's very popular, as you can imagine, around the world with it. There's a lot of fans that like horror, a lot like martial arts, and this is a bit of a blend too. Just hope it does well so we can get some more.
Yeah. Well, I've got my ticket booked, and if anybody wants to get a ticket, there is a link down underneath the video to get your booking in. It's showing it'll be screened on YouTube. Is that right?
That's right.
You get a link for it.
7:30 tomorrow night, which is the 10th of August. But if people miss out on that, obviously it's available Sky Store, Amazon, Google Play.
I know.
So yeah, it's on all digital platforms from the 17th.
Yeah. It's a message from George. What does George say? Hang on a minute. Don't you forget this minute. I just wanted to say Oh, it's a message from George McCluskey. Just wanted to say how happy he is for Matt. Well done, mate. Tribal looks wicked. Really happy for Zara as well. And hello to John too. There you go.
Watch it, George.
So sorry I couldn't answer, George, but we're doing a live show, for God's sake.
That was beautiful. A little bit of Rocky there.
Yeah. Are you okay for a few more minutes? You guys?
I am,
yeah. Lovely. We'll carry on for just a little bit longer then, because but anyway, so that's great. So that's tomorrow night, and a release on other streaming platforms to come. So that's super. John, we'll go back to your current release, which is streaming.
Let me just
now.
give just interesting. Matt, my friend, is very amusing. Ross O'Hennessy, who I've done Comic-Cons with Ross a few times, and weirdly, the first time I met him, I found out that I auditioned for the part that he got in Game of Thrones. So, which is funny when you rewrite your own history as an actor. So obviously, a few years ago, I was going through a period in my life when everyone I met would say to me, "You should be in Game of Thrones," which becomes really wearing after a while. Casting directors would say it to me. So I'd audition for a commercial, and afterwards, in the little chat, and they'd say, "Oh, you'd be great for Game of Thrones." And I got to the point where I was like, "Are you Nina Gold? You're not Nina Gold, are you?" So it doesn't mean anything. But then I got an audition for Rattleshirt, Lord of the Bones. And met Nina's lovely assistant and had a really good audition, and then didn't get it. And then weird meeting Ross, thinking, I can see why I didn't get it now.
Yeah.
Ross is much bigger than me. He's two of me, literally.
I think that's maybe it, isn't it? Because obviously he's totally different. So maybe I guess they just wanted a different style of.
Bizarrely, they actually changed the actor halfway through as well. I think Ross was the second actor. There was another actor who was taller, so it was an odd role that went through a couple of actors. But it kind of it put it all. It was like a little bow on the end of it all for me. That I didn't get that Game of Thrones role, and then I met Ross, and it was all, hey, it's cool. Ross Hennessy got it.
It's
and
funny, whenever I went for Panto auditions, I'd always be up for the Panto King, King Charming, and the father of people. I mean, is that your phone too? Is that somebody's phone?
Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. You're on a streaming show, Lindsay. I know I am. Yeah, I know.
You're at work, Lindsay. You're at work.
Yeah. And they'd always go, "Oh, you'd be great for the Dame," but they never auditioned me for the Dame.
I literally went through. I had 2 or 3 years where I couldn't go a day really without someone telling me at some point in my day that I should be in Game of Thrones. Yeah, I was always polite, but inside it got a little bit wearing. But Adventure Boys, I think I interrupted.
Yeah, Adventure Boys.
Adventure Boys.
I've got this snippet of the trailer for that. So just give me one moment.
A twist of fate.
This magnificent castle is now officially a crime scene.
Just trying to figure out what kind of people we're dealing with. Dealing with 2 snotty-nosed little kids.
2 little boys are making fools of both of you.
Everything.
I am arresting you on suspicion.
From the director of Never Let Go comes a family adventure film.
Stolen diamonds? Boys on the run? Are you insane?
Clear signage outside of the back door right now, waiting for the diamond.
That is ridiculous.
An adventure of a lifetime.
You want to punch really hard? You punch through the bag.
Adventure Boys.
Goody gumdrops.
They work for big, powerful businessmen.
On a BMX.
A Ford family film.
A
Adventure Boys
film. So he went for that over the top classic voiceover that we talked about, because the whole film is a kind of, it's a summer adventure. It's two young boys having a summer adventure that some of us who are slightly older remember having. The film even has a slight grade change just to kind of they're slightly blown out, slightly brighter at places to make you to make what's happening in the film seem like it's you remembering a bright summer of your own. It's been likened to a little bit Home Alone meets the Goonies, but it's great. It's one of those. It's the kind of film people don't really make anymore. Simple family adventure. There's no big special effects in it. It's just a clever yarn.
And this was supposed to have a release, and obviously COVID affected this one too.
Yeah, so the UK, the kind of comprehensive UK digital release was meant to follow after the UK and Canada comprehensive digital release by about a month, and that put it just as COVID happened. So it just kind of all faltered because we kind of lost contact a little bit with some of the distribution because the world just went crazy, didn't it? And no one quite knew what was going on. But it is now available on all the usual streaming platforms, Amazon, Play, all of that. So now the job is just to get the word out there. Really, I mean, it really is it's a great word of mouth film because it does fill a gap that parents appreciate. It's a film that you can watch with your kids, and your kids will probably enjoy it, and you'll enjoy it. 90-year-old nan and 6-year-old whoever, everyone can enjoy it.
A great film for the family for this summer holidays, really.
Absolutely, it really, and it's a twisty, turny story, and the two kids are great, and the film has its own great backstory. So Howard Ford, who wrote and directed it,
Ford family film.
So he made him and his brother, the Ford brothers. They made a fantastic horror film called The Dead, which did really well. In the 90s, I think it won awards. So his background is horror films. And last summer, he was booked to shoot on a fairly big feature, and it kept being postponed. So he suddenly found he had a couple of months where he thought he was going to be away filming, where it's been postponed, and he's got a couple of months to film. And he'd been toying around with this idea of writing a kids' adventure film, and also been thinking about how much time his kids spend on their phones, and he was getting slightly not concerned but aware that they were using their phones more and more and less likely to want to play football with dad, and all of those things, the time on his hands, wanting to spend time with his kids to get them off their phones, and this kids film all came together, and he decided to write and shoot a film with his two boys over summer, partly to make a great film, but also partly so that they'd spend a summer with their dad. And some of that they hated having to film. Sometimes we know how regimented it can be, and they were kids. But in 30 years' time, they're going to have this amazing action movie that they made. And to kind of top it off, when he was looking to cast the lead actor, because of the kind of sporadic way he was going to shoot it, because it was all self-funded, low budget, he decided that he could probably get away with playing the kid's dad. Now, he's the right look for it, and he's a good actor. Because he couldn't afford to have an actor on standby and only use him on certain days, he plays the dad as well. So the father and the two kids in the film are Howard Ford and his two actual kids. And they've never really acted before, and they nail it. They are so sweet and so funny. And it does have a little low-level message about, which is a good conversation starter for parents after they've watched the film with their kids, to say, what do you think about the film saying kids should get off their phone more and go and have an adventure? I mean, obviously, don't stumble across a jewelry heist and get kidnapped by Russian.
It never happened to me when I was a youngster. Just to wrap up with you all, I was going to ask, how do you feel about things? And look who's back again, Andrea, with a question. Do you feel there's optimism for the long game that we'll get back to live theatre and film television projects? So I'm going to go through you all one at a time. Lindsay, what do you think?
Certainly, I think theatre is much more difficult, obviously, because of the way that the structure of the way that we view theatre. So it's going to be more difficult for the integration of theatre to come back in rather than TV and film. Obviously, because within TV and film, we can do things like social distancing and things like that. And I think the reason why they've imposed more than anything this idea of live theatre, although the idea of it is still quite grey. I don't know whether it's about people laughing or applauding, or just people being all together. Again, it's a really, really grey area, but I do think that TV and film are going to progress quicker than bringing back live theatre, unfortunately, because we need the arts and we need something creative, and that's a lot of people's outlets, and that's how we just connect with each other. It's basic storytelling. But so in a nutshell, in a very sort of short answer to that, it will be TV and film that progress quicker once obviously things like insurance and stuff like that are sorted out. But with TV and film, there is a lot more money that's to be involved. Like John said, there's things like, like video games and things like that and CGI where, so I don't know, maybe the future might mean that we use more CGI and things like that, and how we interact with creativity in television may change. It's such a grey area, but unfortunately, I feel like theatre may be the last one that survives.
Very hard. It's very hard to mitigate.
But there is such a need for it. It's because with theatre, it's such a live, interaction that human beings need. We need gigs, we need live music, and we need live theatre. But that's, to me, I think that's a longer game. But it's still there.
In the very early days of COVID, I remember thinking when I was working on Final Fantasy, I had a fight scene with Adrian Boucher, and I've done live action fight scenes before, but this is a motion capture. And one of the first things we realized was we didn't have to worry about contact at all, because we as actors, we could be a long way away doing the moves, and then the digital wizards could move us closer together later. So it meant the fight, you could put a lot more effort in. You didn't have to pull anything. You could really go for it because there was nothing there to hit. And I remember thinking that ability to separate actors and then put them together later suddenly seemed to be a really useful trick in the world of COVID.
In the long game, that might be, you
could mocap EastEnders maybe. Yeah. You could, just create it all in mocap and film everyone. I've been interested to see how drive-in, mainly in America, obviously, because they have them anyway, but here as well, drive-in cinema has been a big success. Because in a car, you are in your group, you're in your pod, in your car, social distancing. I saw a great clip of an old boy in America who's had a drive-in movie for years and it's been going bankrupt. And they interviewed him during COVID and he was like, "Oh my God, I've never had so much." And he was like over the moon because he was selling out every single night. But I've seen others where they've done drive-in stand-up and drive-in music gigs and adapted that drive-in audience scenario, which obviously is outdoors and you're in your own car with flashing of lights and windscreen wipers and horns for applause. I don't think you could stretch it to theatre. I mean, someone should do it just for the hell of it.
They've done the televised theatre, on YouTube. They did Frankenstein with what's his name, Cumberbatch.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible, but and obviously
I saw the Phoebe Waller. I saw
so good, and they did the televised sort of the recorded version of that. So perhaps that's the way to go, because theatre is very, very different to television.
Yeah,
and the way that it's acted is so different to television.
Also,
so I think there's still a thirst for it. So it might be the fact that the actors are there and it's televised and then it's broadcast. It's so up in the air. I
think part of the problem with theatre is the margins were so tight anyway. No one was making any money in theatre beforehand, and that was with sold houses. And then if you say you can only have half or a third, how is that viable?
How are you feeling, Matt? Optimistic?
Yeah, I can't really speak for the theatre side because obviously it's not my, I'm more film and TV. But obviously, again, it's a similar thing, isn't it? You're going to need large numbers to get in there and bums on seats, sell the tickets. That's why it's really hard on cinemas at the moment, because you could see the social distancing in the cinemas and it's like 2 seats apart. So how many tickets are they going to sell? So like say a Bond movie comes out, are they just going to give it multiple screens so they can maximize the amount of numbers coming in to see the film? I think obviously looking forward into the future, they're going to be looking for more product. They're going to need product, particularly for TV, for the cinemas, to get films back on the cinema. But it's quite sad at the moment because obviously they're insisting on you wearing masks in the cinema. And is that going to put people off? It probably is. Who's going to sit there for 2 hours plus wearing a mask?
Unless your mask is full of popcorn and you use it like a feeding bag.
I don't know. It might just be a really interesting change that with things like Netflix now, like a lot of people just consume television and TV shows through these broadcasting platforms and YouTube. And so perhaps so many more people are going to start making theatre and TV and indie films, and they're going to be so much more available. And in that way, if we start thinking about things in a positive level, is that you could put a theatre show on or an indie film, and actually it's open up to the world.
Yeah,
Once you put it on that, on that social media platform,
once it's in the cloud.
Once it's in the cloud, it's open up to everybody. Yeah. So I think that as dark and as sort of dank as this whole thing has been, and we've all had to struggle through it, there might be something positive that comes out at the end of it, and it might just be opening up to different audiences that
I think you're absolutely right. And I think the bottom line is that we are in the creative industry, and we'll be creative. I read or I heard recently that, what was I watching? I can't remember where I heard it, but it was someone saying that the COVID is adding between 15 and 25% on average to the cost of shooting a film. It's adding 15 to 25%, which, to be honest, I mean, that's devastating. Obviously, the way budgets are, but actually I was slightly pleased that it wasn't more than that. I thought, when I see what's being done. So I'm very lucky. A fairly large feature that I auditioned for just before COVID and had a recall for and met the director for just before COVID, which obviously all went quiet, is looking like it's going to go back into production. So I'm currently, my agent's currently checking dates and stuff. So I might, fingers crossed, be doing something pretty big. But that has given me an insight, because I've been privy to all of because I've definitely felt an onus on the production to convince me and my agent that I'm going to be safe.
Yeah.
That it's not just we've offered you the job and this is the pay, but they feel like they also have to say, and we can prove to you that we've taken all the measures, which is not quite nice. I palpably feel. Now, I know that's partly their legal obligation.
Yeah.
So I've been sent, a load of stuff that I'm just printing out at the moment, all about all the zoning and the rules for that's now going to be put in place. It's going to be a very different experience on a film shoot.
A friend of mine's just gone back to Coronation Street last week, and they had, I think it was a 45-minute chat over Zoom about how to deal with all of this stuff. So
so all you can do is talk about it and make sure everyone's on the, understands what the new, because I mean, in a way it's difficult, isn't it? It's difficult to change your ways. And if you've been on film sets for a long time and you have a certain expectation of how film sets work, and to suddenly turn up, I think there'll be a lot of inadvertent slipping of, forgetting
100%.
There'll be somebody there with a 6-foot pole.
That's what you need.
There is at Coronation Street. There's somebody there with a 2-foot pole.
Yeah, you just need reminding constantly. I mean, whether that's, they need like a first AD for COVID to just be like first ADs. They were just always going, shh, simmer down, everyone. Further apart.
We're approaching the end. Forgive my self-indulgence as I promote a new show that I'm coming up with on Tuesday night. Just give me 1 second. Hi, I'm Dave McClelland. Join me on Tuesday, the 11th of August at 8 o'clock for my new show, MOCKDOWN Confidential, where I get intimate with just one guest. This week, actor, writer and theatre impresario Charlie Reindress, here to chat about his books on Canadian music icons and his recurring role in the now filming series Chapelwaite, based on Stephen King's short story Jerusalem's Lot. So put on some soft jazz, pour yourself a cool drink, slip into your silkiest pajamas, and join me on Tuesday at 8 for MOCKDOWN Confidential.
David. I loved it, David. I was thinking, on your next one, you must do it with the American voiceover voice.
Yeah,
jazz voice was great, but I want to hear.
I just got pregnant.
It was a soft focus that did it. It was a soft focus.
Yep, I'm pregnant.
Your silkiest pajamas. It has been an honor and a privilege to spend the evening with the three of you. Thank you for going over time. Matt, I hope, fingers crossed, it goes crazy tomorrow night. If you haven't booked your tickets yet, book them now. The link's below. I hope that your projects go well, guys. Lindsay, fingers crossed for everything and lots of awards. And John, may that film keep selling and Final Fantasy be your final fantasy. Thank you very much for being here this evening. Stay on the line, but I'm going to play the end titles in just a moment. I'm going to give you some applause. Here we go. How about that? Let me go to my end title.